The One Thing by Gary Keller. Introduction. Every day, you wake up with a long list of things to do. Emails to check. Meetings to attend. Deadlines to meet. Your to-do list keeps growing, and no matter how hard you work, it feels like there's never enough time. You're constantly busy, constantly moving, but are you really making progress? Think about this. How often do you finish your day feeling like you've truly accomplished something important? Or do you find yourself caught in an endless cycle of tasks, pulled in every direction, with no clear sense of purpose? This is the modern struggle. The world tells us that success comes from doing more, multitasking, staying busy, and pushing harder. But what if I told you that everything you've been taught about productivity is wrong? That the secret to extraordinary success isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it with extreme focus? This is the core message of The One Thing by Gary Keller. Instead of spreading yourself thin, Keller challenges you to focus on just one thing, the most important task that, when accomplished, makes everything else easier or even unnecessary. Sounds simple, right? But in a world that rewards busyness, focusing on just one thing feels counterintuitive. Yet the most successful people, billionaires, top athletes, world-class leaders, have mastered this principle. They understand that success isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right thing, with relentless focus and consistency. In this audiobook, we're going to break down why conventional wisdom around productivity is misleading. We'll uncover the biggest lies that hold you back, like multitasking, work-life balance, and willpower. We'll explore the simple yet powerful truths that drive real success, starting with the focusing question that will change how you approach work and life forever. By the end of this journey, you'll have a clear strategy for cutting through distractions, increasing efficiency, and unlocking your full potential. You'll learn how to take control of your time, focus your energy, and start making real progress toward what truly matters. If you're ready to stop being busy and start being effective, hit the subscribe button and let's begin. Part 1. The lies that mislead us. Lie number 1: the myth of multitasking. We live in a world that celebrates multitasking. We hear it in job interviews, on resumes, and in daily conversations. People pride themselves on being able to juggle multiple tasks at once. You might even believe that multitasking is the key to productivity. But what if I told you that multitasking is actually a myth? Not only is it ineffective, but it could be the very thing holding you back from achieving extraordinary success. Let's take a step back and ask, what is multitasking really? On the surface, it seems like the ability to do two or more things at once, checking emails while on a conference call, cooking while scrolling through social media, or writing a report while responding to texts. It feels efficient. It feels productive. But here's the truth. Your brain isn't actually multitasking, it's just switching between tasks quickly. The brain isn't designed to focus on multiple things at the same time. Instead, it rapidly shifts attention from one task to another. Each time you switch tasks, your brain has to stop, readjust, and refocus. This process, known as task switching, comes at a cost. It drains mental energy, increases errors, and slows you down, even if you don't realize it. Let's look at the science behind it. Studies show that when people attempt to multitask, their productivity drops by as much as 40%. That's almost half of your efficiency gone, just because you're trying to do too much at once. Why? Because every time your brain switches from one task to another, it has to reload the rules and information needed to complete it. This is called the switching cost, and it's more significant than most people think. Take a simple example. Imagine you're writing an important email, but every few seconds you check your phone for new messages. Each time you do this, your brain has to disengage from writing and re-engage with reading your texts. Then, when you return to the email, you have to remind yourself where you left off, reconstruct your thoughts, and refocus. This constant back and forth wastes time and increases the likelihood of mistakes. Now multiply this effect across a full workday. Constant interruptions, whether from emails, phone calls, or social media, keep you in a state of shallow focus. You never fully engage in deep, meaningful work because your attention is constantly being divided. Instead of working efficiently, you end up feeling scattered, exhausted, and unproductive. So if multitasking is a lie, what's the alternative? The answer lies in focus. The most productive and successful people in the world don't spread their attention across multiple tasks. They commit to one thing at a time. By focusing deeply, they enter a state of flow, where they work faster, think more clearly, and produce higher quality results. This principle is backed by research. Psychologists have found that when we concentrate on a single task, our brain activity is more synchronized, allowing us to solve problems more efficiently. Our memory improves, our creativity increases, and we make fewer mistakes. So, how can you apply this in your own life? Start by eliminating distractions. Close unnecessary tabs, silence notifications, and dedicate specific blocks of time to deep work. Give your full attention to the task at hand, and resist the urge to check emails or switch tasks. Instead of trying to do everything at once, choose to do one thing exceptionally well. By letting go of the multitasking myth, you'll reclaim your focus, increase your productivity, and set yourself up for extraordinary success. The choice is yours. Do you want to be busy, or do you want to be effective? Line number 2: everything matters equally. In today's fast-paced world, we are bombarded with tasks, responsibilities, and expectations. We're told to do more, to juggle everything at once, and to stay busy. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, does everything truly matter equally? Are all tasks created equal? The answer quite simply is no. For years, we've been conditioned to believe that success is about getting more done, crossing as many items off our to-do list as possible. But this is a lie. The reality is that not all tasks contribute equally to our progress. Some actions yield massive results, while others, no matter how much time we spend on them, barely make a difference. This is where the 80-20 rule comes in. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, states that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. It means that a small fraction of what you do actually drives the majority of your success. Think about it. A small percentage of your clients generate the most revenue, a handful of habits contribute the most to your personal growth, and a few key tasks make the biggest impact on your goals. Yet, many of us fall into the trap of treating all tasks as equal. We give the same level of attention to answering emails as we do to strategic planning. We spend time on minor details instead of focusing on the major moves that truly propel us forward. The result? We stay busy but not productive. So, how do we break free from this lie? We must shift from checking off tasks to prioritizing impact. It starts with asking the right question: what is the one thing I can do today that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? This question cuts through the noise and forces you to identify the task that matters most. Prioritization is the secret weapon of high achievers. They don't try to do everything. They focus relentlessly on the most significant task. Bill Gates didn't build Microsoft by answering every email himself. Steve Jobs didn't create Apple by dividing his attention across dozens of products. He focused on a few game-changing innovations. The most successful people understand that time and energy are finite, and they use them wisely. If you want to achieve extraordinary success, you must stop treating all tasks as equal. Learn to recognize the 20% of efforts that generate 80% of results, and give them your full attention. By prioritizing what truly moves the needle, you'll find yourself accomplishing more, not by doing everything, but by doing the right things. Line number 3: myth of willpower always being on call. Have you ever set a goal, maybe to eat healthier, exercise regularly, or stay focused at work, only to find yourself slipping back into old habits? You wake up determined, but by the afternoon, your resolve weakens. The cookies call your name, the gym feels too far away, and distractions take over. What happened? If willpower is the key to success, why does it seem to disappear just when we need it the most? The truth is, willpower is not an unlimited resource. It's a finite fuel that depletes with use. The more decisions we make, the more self-control we exercise, the more our willpower drains. This is why you might feel strong and disciplined in the morning but find yourself making impulsive choices by evening. This phenomenon is known as ego depletion, the idea that our self-control wears down as we use it throughout the day. Researchers have found that willpower functions like a muscle. It can be strengthened over time, but it also gets fatigued when overused. Just like a tired muscle after an intense workout, your ability to make good decisions weakens after constant exertion. So, if willpower isn't always available, how do successful people maintain discipline and focus? The answer isn't more willpower, it's better structure. Instead of relying on sheer determination, they design their days in ways that minimize the need for constant self-control. One of the most effective strategies is decision simplification. Every time you make a choice, what to eat, what to wear, what task to tackle first, you drain a little bit of your willpower. By automating certain aspects of your life, you can conserve mental energy for the decisions that truly matter. This is why high performers like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg wore the same outfits every day. They eliminated small decisions to save their focus for bigger challenges. Another key strategy is time blocking. Studies show that willpower is strongest in the morning when your mental energy is replenished. This is the best time to tackle your most important work, the one thing that drives real progress. By scheduling your high-priority tasks during this peak period, you ensure that they get done before distractions and fatigue take over. Imagine what would happen if, instead of fighting against willpower depletion, you worked with it. What if you structured your days so that your most important work was completed before willpower ran out? What if, instead of relying on discipline, you built habits and routines that removed the need for constant self-control? This is the secret of the world's most successful people. They don't depend on willpower alone. They create environments and routines that set them up for success. So, the next time you find yourself relying on willpower to push through, stop and ask, is there a better way? Instead of fighting against your natural limits, structure your day for success. Because in the end, the key to discipline isn't forcing yourself to work harder, it's setting yourself up so that discipline becomes effortless. Lie number 4: Work-life balance myth. For years, we've been told that success means achieving a perfect balance between work and life. That if we just manage our time correctly, we can give equal attention to our careers, our families, our health, and our personal interests. But here's the truth: trying to balance everything equally doesn't lead to success. It leads to stress, burnout, and mediocrity. The very idea of work-life balance is flawed. It assumes that all areas of life deserve equal time and attention, but that's not how extraordinary results are created. When we try to divide our energy among everything, we end up making small, incremental progress in many areas instead of major progress in one. Take a moment to think about the most successful people you know, whether in business, sports, or the arts. Did they achieve greatness by giving equal time to everything? No. They made sacrifices. They went all in on their passion. They focused intensely on their one thing when it mattered most. This doesn't mean neglecting everything else in your life. It means embracing intentional imbalance. Instead of constantly trying to balance all aspects of life, focus on what's most important in the moment. When you're at work, immerse yourself fully in your most impactful task. When you're with your family, be completely present. Shift your energy where it's needed most, rather than spreading yourself thin. Here's the key: balance isn't about giving everything equal time. It's about giving the right things the right amount of time at the right moment. By understanding this, you free yourself from the unrealistic expectation of having it all at once. So, instead of chasing balance, chase meaningful progress. Focus on what truly matters, and let go of the guilt that comes from trying to do it all. Extraordinary results come from focused effort, not from evenly distributed mediocrity. Part 2: The Truth. The simple path to productivity. Truth number 1: The focusing question. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it everything else will be easier or unnecessary? What if there was one simple question that could unlock your productivity, eliminate distractions, and guide you toward extraordinary results? What if asking yourself this one question every day could help you achieve more by doing less? This is the power of the focusing question. In The One Thing, Gary Keller presents a transformational question that cuts through the noise and leads you straight to what truly matters. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it everything else will be easier or unnecessary? At first glance, this question seems simple. But don't be fooled, its impact is profound. It forces you to stop reacting to the endless stream of tasks and instead identify the most important action you can take right now. It shifts your mindset from scattered busyness to laser-focused effectiveness. How this question cuts through distractions. We live in an age of endless distractions. Emails, meetings, notifications, and social media constantly compete for our attention. Most people fall into the trap of trying to juggle everything at once. But this approach spreads our energy thin and leads to burnout. The secret to achieving more isn't about doing more, it's about doing the right thing at the right time. By asking yourself the focusing question, you bring clarity to your priorities. You stop reacting to what feels urgent and start working on what truly matters. This question helps eliminate distractions and guides you to the core action that will create the biggest impact. Real-life examples of using this question to drive success. The power of the focusing question is seen in the success stories of some of the world's highest achievers. Let's take Steve Jobs, for example. When he returned to Apple in 1997, the company was struggling. His first move? He cut down Apple's product line from dozens to just 4. He focused all of Apple's energy on just a handful of truly exceptional products. The result? Apple became one of the most valuable companies in the world. Another example is Bill Gates. When he started Microsoft, he focused intensely on one thing: developing the best personal computer software. That single-minded focus helped him build a tech empire. Even in personal life, this principle applies. Consider health and fitness. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire lifestyle at once, what if you focused on just one thing? Maybe it's drinking more water every day. Maybe it's committing to a daily walk. That one thing can create a ripple effect, making other healthy habits easier or even automatic. The power of this question lies in its ability to simplify decision-making. It eliminates uncertainty and gives you a clear direction. Whether you're striving for career growth, better relationships, or personal fulfillment, asking yourself the focusing question daily can help you stay on track. So, what's the one thing you can do today, such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Truth number 2, goal setting to the now. Most people set goals, but few achieve them. Why? Because they set them in a way that feels disconnected from their daily actions. They dream big, but they fail to link that vision to what they should be doing right now. This is where the concept of goal setting to the now changes everything. Imagine you have a powerful goal, something extraordinary you want to achieve. How do you get there? By working backward step by step until you land on the one thing you should focus on today. It starts with a question: what's the one thing I can do someday that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? Then you break it down further: what's the one thing I can do this year to be on track for my someday goal? Next ask: what's the one thing I can do this month to be on track for my yearly goal? Then, what's the one thing I can do this week to be on track for my monthly goal? And finally, what's the one thing I can do today to be on track for my weekly goal? This process takes your grand ambition and translates it into clear, focused action. It eliminates the vague uncertainty of someday and replaces it with a step-by-step plan you can execute right now. Let's look at an example. Imagine you want to become a best-selling author. That's your someday goal. So, what's the one thing you can do this year? Maybe it's completing your first manuscript. What's the one thing you can do this month? Outline your chapters. What's the one thing you can do this week? Write the first chapter. And today? Sit down for one focused hour and write the opening scene. By applying goal setting to the now, you don't just wish for success, you create a direct, actionable path to achieving it. You eliminate distractions, reduce overwhelm, and gain clarity on what matters most right now. The power of this method is in its simplicity. It removes the guesswork and ensures that every decision you make today moves you closer to your ultimate goal. Instead of wondering what to do next, you always know. And when you always know your next step, success isn't a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. Truth number 3, the domino effect. Imagine standing before a long row of dominoes, each one slightly larger than the last. You gently push the first, and it tips forward, knocking over the next, and then the next. With each fall, the energy grows. What starts as a single, small action builds into a powerful chain reaction, until the final, massive domino comes crashing down. This is the domino effect, and it's not just a fun experiment, it's a fundamental principle of success. Small actions, consistently applied, create massive results over time. The key? You must start with the right first step. Let's take a closer look at this idea. In 1983, a physicist named Lorne Whitehead published a study proving that a single domino could knock over another domino 1.5 times its size. If you start with a domino just 2 inches tall, by the 10th domino, you'd be knocking over something the size of a person. By the 18th, you'd be toppling a structure as tall as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. By the 31st, you'd surpass Mount Everest. This isn't just theory. The same principle applies to your goals. Success doesn't come from one massive leap, it comes from a sequence of small, focused actions that build momentum. Consider this: if you improve just 1% each day, in a year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. That's the compounding power of small, consistent efforts. But if you spread yourself thin, trying to push over too many dominoes at once, you'll make little progress. The key is to focus on the right first domino, the one action that will set everything else in motion. Think about a successful entrepreneur, an elite athlete, or a world-class musician. None of them achieved greatness overnight. They all started with one focused habit, one key discipline, that created a ripple effect. Jeff Bezos didn't start Amazon as the retail giant it is today. He started by selling books online. That first domino, an online bookstore, set off a chain reaction that eventually led to global e-commerce domination. Serena Williams didn't become a tennis legend by trying to master every shot at once. She built her skills one move at a time, each practice session reinforcing the last. Every great success story is a result of the domino effect in action. The question is, what's your first domino? Your job isn't to do everything. It's to identify the one small action that, when done consistently, will set off a chain reaction toward extraordinary success. Push that first domino. Build momentum. And watch as your life transforms, one small win at a time. Part 3. Mastering your time and energy. Time blocking, the key to productivity. In today's fast-paced world, distractions are everywhere. Emails, phone calls, social media, meetings, the noise never stops. No matter how much you want to focus, something always seems to pull you away. So how do the most successful people stay on track? How do they protect their time for what truly matters? The answer is time blocking. Time blocking is a simple but powerful technique. You schedule dedicated, uninterrupted time for your one thing, the task that will make the biggest impact. Instead of hoping you'll find time, you make time. Think of it like an appointment with yourself, one that cannot be cancelled, rescheduled, or interrupted. Just like a doctor wouldn't allow walk-ins during surgery, you don't allow distractions during your most important work. Why is this so effective? Because your brain works best when it can focus deeply, without switching tasks. Research shows that it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain deep focus after an interruption. If you're constantly bouncing between tasks, you're never truly engaged in any of them. That's why successful people guard their most productive hours. They carve out time each day to focus on what matters most, and they treat that time as sacred. The best time to work on your one thing. Not all hours of the day are equal. The morning hours, right after you wake up, are when your brain is at its peak. Studies show that most people experience their highest levels of focus, creativity, and willpower in the first few hours of the day. Why? Because willpower is like a battery, it drains as the day goes on. Every decision, every distraction, every task you take on depletes your mental energy. By evening, your brain is exhausted, and productivity plummets. That's why the world's top performers start their day with their most important task. They use their freshest energy for their one thing, before emails, meetings, or daily chaos take over. How to implement time blocking. So, how do you put this into practice? Step 1. Identify your one thing, the task that will have the biggest impact. Step 2. Choose a dedicated time block for it, preferably in the morning. Step 3. Protect that time ruthlessly. Turn off notifications, close your door, and let others know you're unavailable. Step 4. Show up, every single day. Think about this. If you block just 1 hour each morning for your one thing, that adds up to 7 hours a week, 30 hours a month, and over 350 hours a year. That's nearly 9 full work weeks spent on your highest impact task. Imagine what you could achieve with that kind of focused effort. Your calendar reflects your priorities. If your one thing isn't scheduled, it won't happen. The most successful people don't leave their time to chance, they control it. So take control. Block your time. Protect it. And watch as your productivity and your success skyrocket. Eliminating distractions, creating an environment for deep work. Picture this: you sit down to work on your most important task, your one thing. But within minutes, a notification pops up, an email, a text, a social media alert. Your phone buzzes. Someone walks into your office. Before you know it, your deep focus is shattered. What was supposed to be a productive session turns into a fragmented, frustrating struggle to get back on track. Sound familiar? Distractions are the enemy of success. They steal your focus, dilute your efforts, and keep you from making real progress. If you want to master your time and energy, you must master your environment. You must eliminate distractions and create a space where deep work can thrive. Designing a distraction-free workspace. The first step in eliminating distractions is designing your environment with intention. Your workspace should be a place that signals focus, not fragmentation. Start by decluttering. A messy desk leads to a messy mind. Studies show that visual clutter competes for your attention, making it harder to concentrate. Keep only the essentials in your workspace: your tools, a notebook, and maybe a single meaningful object that inspires you. Next, set boundaries. If you work in an office, close the door. If you're at home, create a designated work zone. Let others know when you're in a deep work session and shouldn't be disturbed. And don't forget noise. Research shows that even minor background conversations can disrupt concentration. If you can't control the noise around you, invest in noise-canceling headphones or use focus-enhancing soundscapes. Your environment should be a sanctuary for productivity, not a battleground for your attention. The role of technology, friend or foe? Technology is a double-edged sword. It can be a powerful tool for productivity, or the biggest distraction in your life. The key is using it with intention. Start with your phone. The average person checks their phone over 150 times a day. That's 150 opportunities for distraction. The solution? When working on your one thing, put your phone on silent, or better yet, in another room. Next, manage your digital workspace. Turn off notifications. Close unnecessary tabs. Use tools like website blockers to prevent mindless scrolling. And when it comes to email, don't let it dictate your day. Set specific times to check it instead of constantly reacting to incoming messages. The moment you take control of your inbox, you take control of your focus. The power of deep work. When you eliminate distractions, something incredible happens. Your mind unlocks a state of deep work. Deep work is when your focus becomes so intense that time seems to disappear. It's when creativity flows effortlessly, and breakthroughs happen. It's when you do your best work. But deep work is fragile. It takes effort to enter this state, but only seconds to destroy it. That's why every notification, every interruption, and every distraction comes at a high cost. So here's your challenge: take control of your environment. Remove the distractions. Set boundaries. Use technology intentionally. And create a space where your best work can flourish. Because when you eliminate distractions, you don't just improve productivity, you unlock your full potential. The power of saying no. Every day, we are bombarded with requests, obligations, and opportunities. A coworker asks for just a few minutes of your time. A friend wants your help with a side project. An email lands in your inbox, pulling you into a meeting that has nothing to do with your goals. And what do most people do? They say yes. Because saying no feels uncomfortable. It feels selfish. We worry about disappointing others, missing out, or appearing unhelpful. But here's the truth: every time you say yes to something unimportant, you are saying no to something that truly matters. The most successful people aren't the ones who do the most. They're the ones who protect their time with fierce intentionality. They know that their energy is finite, and they refuse to let distractions, obligations, or guilt pull them away from their one thing. Why saying no is essential for success. Think about the most successful people you admire: entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, leaders. Do you think they say yes to every request that comes their way? Absolutely not. They understand that every yes carries a cost. They recognize that in order to excel in one area, they must say no to many others. Steve Jobs, the visionary behind Apple, once said, "People think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on." But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that are out there. You have to pick carefully. In other words, the ability to say no isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. How to say no without guilt. But how do you actually do it? How do you say no without feeling like you're letting people down? The key is learning to say no gracefully but firmly. Here are 3 simple strategies. 1. Be clear and direct. Don't over-explain or apologize excessively. A simple, "I appreciate the offer, but I have to focus on other priorities right now," is enough. 2. Offer an alternative. If you want to soften the refusal, suggest another way to help, perhaps a quick resource or pointing them to someone better suited for the request. 3. Set boundaries ahead of time. When people know your priorities, they respect your time more. If your one thing is clear, it's easier to say, "I don't take on extra projects during my deep work hours." And remember this: saying no isn't rejecting a person, it's protecting your purpose. The power of a focused yes. Here's a mindset shift. Instead of seeing no as a rejection, think of it as a way to elevate the value of your yes. When you say no to distractions, meaningless meetings, and unnecessary obligations, your yes becomes powerful. It becomes intentional. It means that when you do say yes, it's because it truly aligns with your goals. So here's your challenge. The next time you feel pressured to say yes, pause. Ask yourself, does this serve my one thing? If the answer is no, then your response should be no. Because protecting your time isn't selfish, it's the secret to achieving extraordinary results. Part 4. Building a life around your one thing. The 4 thieves of productivity. You've learned how to focus. You've learned how to prioritize. You've learned how to say no. But there are still hidden forces working against you, stealing your time, draining your energy, and keeping you from reaching your full potential. These forces are what Gary Keller calls the 4 thieves of productivity. And like real thieves, they don't announce themselves. They sneak in, disguised as good intentions, minor inconveniences, or obligations you think you can't avoid. But if you don't recognize them, they will rob you of your success. So let's expose them one by one. Thief number 1, the inability to say no. Imagine you have an entire day blocked off to work on your one thing. You're ready. Focused. Determined. And then, someone asks for a favor. A coworker requests a quick call. Your phone rings. A new opportunity presents itself. Before you know it, your perfectly planned day is gone. The inability to say no is the first thief of productivity. And as we discussed earlier, every yes to something small is a no to something big. Successful people understand this. They don't just guard their time, they defend it. They recognize that every moment spent on something unimportant is stolen from something that truly matters. The solution? Make no your default answer. If an opportunity doesn't directly support your one thing, it's a distraction. And distractions, no matter how small, compound over time into major setbacks. Thief number 2, fear of chaos. Here's a hard truth. When you focus intensely on your one thing, other areas of your life may experience some temporary chaos. Emails might pile up, minor tasks may be left unfinished. People might get frustrated when you don't respond immediately. And for many, this is uncomfortable. We want everything to stay in perfect order. We want to please everyone. But the pursuit of greatness requires trade-offs. If you're truly dedicated to achieving extraordinary success, you have to be okay with a little chaos. Think about elite athletes. Do you think they answer every email, attend every event, or keep a perfectly tidy schedule? No. They focus on training, improvement, and excellence, because that's what leads to results. The key isn't eliminating chaos, it's controlling it. Prioritize what truly matters and accept that not everything will always be in perfect balance. Thief number 3, poor health habits. Imagine you're working on your one thing, but you're constantly exhausted. You feel sluggish, unfocused, and unable to concentrate. No matter how committed you are, if your body isn't functioning at its best, either is your mind. Yet, many people treat health as optional. They sacrifice sleep for work, rely on caffeine and sugar for energy, and sit for hours without moving. But peak performance isn't just about mental focus, it's about physical vitality. The world's top performers know this. They prioritize sleep, exercise, and nutrition not because they have extra time, but because they know it's the foundation of everything else. So if you want to be truly productive, start by taking care of yourself. Because the sharper your body, the sharper your mind. Thief number 4, an environment that doesn't support success. You are a product of your environment. The people, places, and habits surrounding you either pull you toward your goals or push you away from them. Ask yourself, do the people in your life support your ambitions or distract you? Does your workspace encourage focus or invite interruptions? Do your daily habits reinforce success or sabotage it? The most successful people are intentional about their environment. They create spaces that promote deep work, surround themselves with like-minded individuals, and remove anything that doesn't serve their goals. If your environment doesn't support your success, change it. Because if you don't shape your surroundings, they will shape you. Protecting your productivity. These 4 thieves, saying yes too often, fearing chaos, neglecting health, and living in the wrong environment, are silent killers of success. But now that you see them, you have the power to stop them. Say no to distractions. Accept that some chaos is necessary. Treat your body like the high-performance machine it is. And build an environment that fuels your ambition. Do this, and you won't just protect your productivity, you'll unlock a level of focus and success most people never achieve. The importance of habits and discipline. Motivation is fleeting. It's like a spark, bright and exciting, but temporary. We've all felt it before, that surge of inspiration after reading a book, watching a speech, or hearing an incredible success story. We get fired up. We tell ourselves, this time, I'm going to make a change. And for a while, we do. We wake up early, hit the gym, tackle our biggest tasks first. But then life happens. The motivation fades. And without even realizing it, we slip back into old habits. This is why the most successful people in the world don't rely on motivation. They rely on something much stronger, habits and discipline. Why habits drive long-term success? Consider this. The things you do every day shape your life far more than the things you do occasionally. If you exercise once, nothing changes. But if you exercise every day, your body transforms. If you write once, you have a page. But if you write every day, you have a book. If you focus on your one thing once, you make a little progress. But if you focus on it every day, you create a legacy. This is the power of habits. They compound over time, turning small actions into massive results. Think about the most successful athletes, entrepreneurs, and artists. They don't wake up each morning wondering if they feel like working. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They follow their routines, because their success isn't based on feelings. It's based on consistent action. How to build the right routines for your one thing. Building the right habits isn't about willpower, it's about systems. If you create a system that supports your goals, success becomes automatic. Here's how you do it. 1. Start small. Big changes fail because they require too much effort too soon. Instead, begin with something manageable. If you want to write a book, start with just 1 sentence a day. If you want to get fit, commit to 5 minutes of movement. Small steps create momentum. 2. Tie your habit to an existing routine. If you want a new habit to stick, attach it to something you already do. If you drink coffee every morning, use that as a trigger to write your daily goals. If you commute to work, listen to an audiobook that sharpens your mind. The easier it is to integrate, the more likely you'll stick with it. 3. Remove friction. Make good habits effortless and bad habits difficult. If you want to exercise, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to avoid distractions, turn off notifications and remove time-wasting apps from your phone. 4. Commit to consistency, not perfection. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to show up. Even on the days when you're tired, distracted, or unmotivated, do something. Progress, no matter how small, is still progress. 5. Track your progress. What gets measured gets improved. Keep a simple habit tracker. Each day you complete your habit, mark it down. Seeing your progress builds momentum and keeps you accountable. 6. Give it time. Habits don't form overnight. Research shows it takes an average of 66 days to solidify a new behavior. Be patient. Stick with it. The results will come. Discipline, the bridge between goals and results. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Discipline is waking up early to focus on your one thing, even when you don't feel like it. It's saying no to distractions, even when they're tempting. It's sticking to your plan, even when no one is watching. But here's the secret: discipline isn't about suffering. It's about creating habits that make success inevitable. Once a habit is in place, you no longer need discipline to maintain it. It becomes automatic, something you do without thinking. And when your daily actions align with your biggest goals, success is no longer a question of if, but when. Make habits work for you. The difference between success and failure isn't talent, intelligence, or luck. It's habits. The right habits will carry you toward your dreams. The wrong habits will keep you stuck. So take control. Design your routines. Build habits that support your one thing. And soon you won't have to chase success. It will come to you. Living with purpose. Success without purpose is empty. We all know people who have achieved wealth, status, or recognition but still feel unfulfilled. They've checked all the right boxes, yet something is missing. That's because true success isn't just about reaching goals, it's about living with purpose. Purpose gives meaning to what we do. It turns work into a calling, effort into passion, and results into real impact. And when your one thing aligns with your deepest purpose, success becomes more than just achievement, it becomes fulfillment. Aligning your one thing with your life's purpose. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Not just what you're working on, but why. We often get caught up in the what, the goals, the deadlines, the daily tasks. But purpose comes from the why. Why does your work matter? Who does it help? How does it make the world better? When you connect your one thing to a deeper purpose, work stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a mission. You wake up excited. You push through challenges with determination. You're not just working for a paycheck or a promotion, you're working towards something bigger than yourself. The connection between passion, skill, and real impact. Living with purpose doesn't mean chasing random passions or ignoring practical realities. It means finding the intersection of 3 things. 1. What you love to do. What excites you? What could you spend hours on without getting bored? Passion gives energy to your work. 2. What you're good at. Passion alone isn't enough, you also need skill. What are you naturally talented at? What can you improve with practice? Skill turns passion into excellence. 3. What makes a difference? True purpose isn't just about personal success, it's about impact. How does your work improve lives? How does it contribute to something bigger? Impact creates fulfillment. When your one thing sits at the center of these 3, passion, skill, and impact, you find lasting success. You don't just build a career. You build a legacy. Purpose is the ultimate fuel. When things get hard, and they will, purpose is what keeps you going. It's stronger than motivation. It's deeper than discipline. It's what drives people to push past obstacles, to work through failure, and to keep striving even when success feels far away. The most extraordinary people in history weren't just hard workers. They were people with a mission. They weren't just chasing success, they were pursuing something meaningful. And so can you. Your one thing, your purpose. Living with purpose starts with a choice. It's about deciding that your work will matter. That your actions will be intentional. That your one thing will not only bring you success but also fulfillment. Ask yourself, is my one thing connected to something meaningful? Does it align with my deeper purpose? If not, it's time to realign. Because real success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about making the climb worth it. Conclusion: making your one thing a reality. We've covered a lot in this audiobook. We've broken down the myths that hold us back, uncovered the truth about focus and productivity, and explored how mastering your time, energy, and purpose leads to extraordinary success. But here's the most important thing to remember: none of this matters unless you take action. Knowledge without action is just potential. Action is what turns knowledge into results. And action begins with identifying your one thing. Recap: the biggest lessons from the one thing. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to revisit the key ideas that can change the way you work, think, and live. 1. Success isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. Being busy isn't the same as being productive. When you focus on your one thing, you cut through the noise and maximize your impact. 2. The lies of productivity hold us back. Multitasking, treating everything as equally important, relying on endless willpower. These are myths that drain our energy and keep us from real success. 3. The power of focus changes everything. When you ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary, you create clarity and direction. 4. Small steps lead to massive success. Like dominoes falling in a perfect sequence, small focused actions build momentum and create extraordinary results over time. 5. Your environment, habits, and mindset shape your future. The way you manage your time, eliminate distractions, and protect your focus determines whether you stay stuck or move forward. The challenge: start identifying your one thing today. So, what's next? It's time to stop overthinking and start doing. Right now, take a moment and ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do today that will have the greatest impact? It doesn't have to be a massive goal. It just has to be a meaningful step in the right direction. Maybe it's setting aside time to think about your priorities. Maybe it's blocking off an hour for deep work. Maybe it's saying no to a distraction that's been pulling you away from what really matters. Whatever it is, commit to it. Because extraordinary success isn't built in a day. It's built in the small, intentional choices you make every single day. Make it happen. You have everything you need to succeed. The knowledge, the tools, the strategy. But the question is, will you use them? The people who achieve extraordinary things aren't necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who take action. They're the ones who focus. They're the ones who decide, right now, that they will make their one thing a priority. So, what's stopping you? The path is clear. The choice is yours. Make your one thing a reality, and watch how everything else begins to fall into place. If this audiobook has helped you shift your perspective, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs it. And if you want more insights, strategies, and motivation to help you stay on track, make sure to subscribe. Success is within your reach. It all starts with one thing.